the Better Life, Better Work show, and I'm your host, Allison Crow. I'm an intuitive life and business coach here to help you create better life and better work. I help super successful people, the recovering overachievers, put the soul back in their lives, and I help soulful people create success. On this show, topics range from the mystic to the logistic, and our content will support your being and your doing while on your path to create better life and better work. More is not better. Better is better.
Hey, soulful humans. I know it's been a while since I was in your ears, at least via the podcast. My clients, I'm in their ears and their faces twice a week. Sometimes. Not everybody twice a week. Yes, I am recording kind of an update episode. I'm gonna find some learning tidbits in here to share with you too. I am driving home from spending a day with a girlfriend I haven't seen in many months, who is a almost lifelong friend, at least for the past 25 years. Driving through my hometown, Austin, Texas, across the river. It is 6:03 p.m. and I am in Friday night traffic. So there's some noise around me, and there is a horizon in my hometown that I do not recognize as far as the cityscape. And at the same time, there is an energy I feel when driving through the center of this town, because that's where I grew up, it's where my parents still live, that just puts a smile on my face. And so I was thinking of all of you that I haven't spoken to you in a while, and I haven't, figured out my content marketing strategy. And so here today, like you, I know that actually my work life is really stable and good. And there is a lot going on in my family life. Things that you won't ever see in my marketing, health, weddings, divorces, hurts, joys, illnesses, and it seems like everything hit at once in October. And everybody's, I don't want to say the word fine. I don't like the word fine. It just is. It's just life, right? Life happens. One of the joys that I can share is that my bonus daughter is getting married a week from tomorrow night. And so obviously there's been a lot around that. I say bonus daughter, she's my stepdaughter, but we call each other bonus. Been in her life since she was in 4th grade. And she is now a gorgeous 25, about to be 26. Sorry, Samantha, I can't remember if you're 24, about to be 25. I think you're 25, about to be 26. You're a grown woman. And so we're in the middle of all the wedding stuff, plus all these other things, which I'm just going to keep private for now for my family. Approaching the holidays. I know you're approaching the holidays too. And so what I'm aware of in this moment that I want to connect with you is that you are a soulful human living a human life. You are a soulful being living a human life. And so from one human to another, I just want to acknowledge your humanness. And sometimes your humanness means that you look at everything on your plate, and some things get moved to the side for temporary reasons. And lately, 2 things have gotten moved to the side. My podcast, combination of all the other things. Plus, I've had this froggy throat, and I just finished a course of antibiotics, and it did not fix it. So, going to the next phase of figuring out what that is. Actually being able to speak to you, not losing my voice, coughing, choking. So humans, and sometimes depending on all the other things in our life that we can't control and that we're not going to escape, right? There's some things we can't control. I have the biggest smile on my face. There's some things we can't control and we don't want to be a part of, and we can set a boundary and choose to not be a part of. But especially when it becomes your family and your health and just life things that happen to so many people. They just are. And just because they just are doesn't mean that it's easy or not overstimulating to our nervous systems or that our energy isn't required. And so, in general, my families, both my family and my husband's families, have required a lot of, not required, I want to give a lot of energy to those things. I also must maintain my client, most important is loving on current clients. And I have amazing membership clients and Spark on Hustle and Flow clients. I have an event coming up in May that has technically sold out. It's very possible, depending on the rooming, that we may have a couple more spaces open up because so many people are sharing rooms, that we may have some spots for you to be able to come. I'll know on January 1st. And so if you're someone out there able to put 100% of your energy and time into things that you love, fan-fucking-tastic. I have been in that place many times, and it is wonderful. And many of you, I actually just left my sweet soul's echo, Malia's house. And it's the first time that Malia and her husband, their house is empty of kids, empty of dying parents. They have spent the last 7 years going through family death after death after death, not just old parents, but young people. Right, and now they're finally coming to be able to put their head above water. And as the wisdom of my friend Malia would say, chop wood, carry water, chop wood, carry water. And so there is a little bit of chop wood, carrying water. And I'll tell you what, I ain't going to pick up the podcast wood or my book writing wood. I need my load to be as reasonable as possible. And so what I mean by that is if I obligate myself to curate and come up with content every single week and meet this deadline, I'm putting pressure on myself that I don't need to do. And so please know, audience, I love you and I appreciate you. I don't know what my schedule will be. I'm just a sweet little surprise in your ears. Someday you pick up your podcast app and there I am. And other days, I may be crickets. And the reason I share all this is because, especially for those of you that are self-employed, I mean, like, I didn't have that luxury when I was employed. That's one of the reasons I'm self-employed. I took those risks. And so there are certain things that absolutely I commit to and I'm responsible to. But I'm the decider. And right now I decided to I told my book coach a couple months ago, I was like, I'm not even thinking about my book. Any extra creativity is not, it's like I'm creating my marketing, I'm creating energy for my family, and then I have my private painting and journaling practice, but I don't have it I can't even think about my book right now. And let me tell you, there's a part of my brain that's like, you're doing it wrong. That means you're giving up. No. And that was the conversation I had with my book coach this morning. And even I, who would tell my client the same thing, I sometimes, there's a part of me that is very rigid and addicted to the doing and the timelines, but the timelines are all fucking artificial. Right? Like the timeline for my daughter's wedding isn't artificial. The timeline for a family member being in the hospital today, got a call that somebody in my family had an emergency and was taken by ambulance to the hospital. They're checked out. They're headed home. But right, like, those are timelines we don't have control of, but I have control over the timeline of my podcast. I have control over the timeline of delivering my coaching calls, and right now that feels very supportive. It actually gives me energy to turn around and get back to my family. And so I can't tell you how to do your life and your business when extra comes up, but I can lovingly and powerfully remind you that you, yes, you human, you do not have to have supernatural powers, first of all. You don't have to. There are parts of you that love supernatural powers. There are parts of me that love supernatural powers. But you can, as a human being, decide what you can control and can't control. And out of what you can control, what you're willing to set down for a while. What is it? I think there's a quadrant. There's some kind of quadrant thing. I can't remember who said it. Sorry, I always like to give credit. But like, what's important and urgent? What's important and not urgent? What's urgent and not important? Right? And what's not urgent and not important. So what's not urgent and what's not important immediately comes off your list. And so, yes, my podcast is important to me, but it's not urgent. And it's also not crucial. This is a random funny one. I went with my stepdaughter. I got invited to go to her bachelorette party. Did y'all know that some of these girls, and yes, like my lens map is white, cis, middle class, college educated, I don't know. Apparently these days these girls have full weekend bachelorette parties combined with lingerie parties. And so I have not been to Nashville as a party place. I've been there for painting, but there's a whole new world that I didn't know existed. I knew there would be probably lots of drinking. I knew there would probably be bar hopping. I also let a bunch of 25-year-old girls, they planned this weekend, so I went with the flow of what they had planned. And I made a few decisions before I even came. And there were two of them that I knew would support me, even though it made me uncool. And one of them was to wear comfortable shoes. So all these girls and the other mothers there were cute as could be, super dressed up to the nines, super cute, like making your Pinterest boards cute. And I was like, fuck that shit, I'm wearing my tennis shoes with my orthotics in there, because if I'm going to make it this weekend, then I'm going to support my physical body. The second thing was, if I need to break out midday and go take a nap, Mama needs to get in the right lane. If I need to take a nap, I'm going to take a Lyft home to our Airbnb and pause from bar hopping. And so that was the second thing. There was one day I did go home early, and there was one night at 10:30 I was like, I'm going home, gang. I'm not closing bars down. And then the other thing was, I just decided for myself, listen, let's be real. I'm not a fan of drinking culture, and I do drink. I'm not a super fan of like the culture of binge drinking. I find it a little problematic. And yet sometimes I've partaken it. I don't remember the last time I bar hopped and drank all day. I'm sure when I was 25 years old, I would have freaking loved this. But it's not my groove anymore. I'm more of a glass of wine with dinner, or cocktail hour with friends, or brunch. But I did also make a decision beforehand. I was like, I'm going to be really minimal with my drinking. I didn't say I wasn't going to drink, but I was like going to have a 2-drink maximum and no hard liquor. No hard liquor. And so I stuck to those things. And there were many times when part of me was like, you are a loser, you're a nerd, you're not dressed cool, they're going to think you're... And I was like, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. This is what I got to do. This is what is important and urgent. And so I made modifications. And some people were like, well, why are you going to Nashville? And I said, I'm not going to Nashville for me to party. I'm going to watch my bonus daughter have her weekend. And so my intention, I set up my self-safety, and then my intention was to enjoy Samantha enjoying herself. Period. That was it. Just to be a part and a witness to her special Fine. Okay, so that was another little example, wearing comfortable shoes. What do you need to do? What are your comfortable shoes right now? To chop wood, carry water. What is in your load that is just a story, right? What are you making up that you have to do? I could make up a story that I had to wear. I actually did bring cute boots. But once I saw the landscape of the situation, I was like, yeah, no. 2 hours walking up and down this street and going in these bars, my back's going to be out with these shoes. So I'm just going to keep wearing my sneakers and my orthotics. I don't care how they look. I'm wearing my comfortable clothes. And parts of me were like, oh, you won't fit in. Here's what people think of you. What is the modification you need to make? Right? So I could also be like, hell yeah, I'm going to get my book writing done. I'm going to get my podcast done. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go big. And I'm certain I could do it, but why would I? Why would I overextend myself? Why wouldn't I make a shift in my energetic resources, my physical resources? If I'm in a period of life or a transition of family things that require more energy, I've actually created a business where I can shift some energy away. So I wanted to say thank you for your grace, as I may or may not show up consistently. And I'm the boss of me. And I notice out in the world, fellow business owners, I mean, on one hand, we've got to do what we've got to do, right? So there's the coaching part of me that's like, you've got to do what you're not willing to do to create the results you want to create. But then there's also a place of like, create your results, and why are you trying to create even more? There's an over-hustling that ends up with a negative balance. We call it, I actually have some podcasts, I'm pretty sure, around it called your emotional P&L, your emotional profit and loss, right? And so what is the point of creating a fiscal financial profit if there's an emotional loss? And sometimes you are in the green with both your emotion and your profit, but it is not worth it to go negative in either or be super positive in your green at the expense of your emotion. And so, yeah, I may not have, you know, there's a part of me that's like, oh, Allison, you could sell something and you could finish the year strong. There's all these phrases, y'all. They're so fucking coachy. And if you're somebody that feels genuinely full body, ready and prepared and excited, kind of nervous to finish the year strong, great. And then if there's some of you that hear that phrase, finish the year strong, and you're like, fuck no. Because you know your energetic resources are important and urgent somewhere else. Please give yourself permission to not compete with some made-up expectation. Please give, that's why I started out with like, hello, humans. Humans. We spent so much time trying to be superhuman, and the most spiritual thing we think we can be is human. So that's it. I just want you to know, wherever you are is perfect right now. I had a client was like, what about my purpose? And I am so over the bullshit of the contrived purpose. Right now, my purpose at 6:21 on a Friday night, and whatever day and time you're hearing this, is to be sitting, holding my cell phone, but paying attention to the road, recording into a voice memo, not even with a good microphone, sending you a love note, an audio love note, on the way home in traffic. That's my purpose. And even if I weren't delivering a podcast to you, both hands on the wheel, making it home is my perfect. One is not better than the other. You are living your purpose by breathing right now. So take off all the stories, take off all the contrived, and give yourself permission to live the life and energetic and physical and emotional balancing that feels right for you right now. Peace out. I love you. The only other thing I have to say, and we probably won't do it this week, but at some point I'm going to be recording a new intro. We have new intro music, but I haven't had the voice to quite do it. So there are some new things coming on the horizon. There are some new things coming on the horizon in Soulies. We do have a lot of new stuff in the pipeline, but right now I'm not ready to turn the faucet on. So I'm going to keep chopping wood, carrying water with a smile in my heart, one gentle step at a time. I want to encourage you to do the same. Yeah, that's it. Peace out, y'all.
As always, thanks for listening. Totally appreciate you thinking about somebody who might really love this episode and you sharing it with them. Also, I always appreciate your reviews. It's like podcast currency. It's like a tip in the jar saying thanks. And finally, if you want to share on social media a screenshot or any insights you get from listening to this episode, I will totally respond. You can share with the hashtag BetterLifeBetterWorkShow. This show is sponsored by my 3 rescued dogs, Leroy Brown, Clementine, and Rocky Potato. They're here to remind you to consider adoption when you get your next pet. More is not better, better is better.